News Radio 700 WLW.
Think back to where we were a couple of years ago. We didn't even know what COVID was. Wasn't in our lexicon. COVID, hadn't heard of it. Well, we might have. There was something going on in some remote area of the world, and don't worry about it. And then it was like, well, it's going to be nothing more than just, like the flu. Well, we found out that it was much, much more severe than that. And we also found out that it altered our lives. Things just changed. The way we went about our personal lives, the way we went about our professional lives. And a lot of us maybe lost our jobs during the pandemic, the early stages of it. Unemployment was up. Costs were up. You couldn't find any kind of medical remedy for COVID if you came down with it. It was luck of the draw. It was wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands, social distance, wear a mask, do this, don't do that. The messaging seemed to change on a daily basis. Well, we navigated, you and I did, navigated our way through this. And we got to where we are right now, which is the start of 2022. Along the way, professionally, a lot of us decided it would be best that we stay at home. And so we convinced our employers that from a health standpoint, it would be best if we stayed at home and worked from home. Employers might have suggested it as well. And gradually, some employees returned to the work environment, but not everybody. In fact, now there is a thinking that what was seemingly abnormal during the spring and summer of 2020 may become the new normal for businesses coast to coast, not returning to the office. Big tech companies push back their return to office dates multiple times in 2021, and they will begin to address it as we get into the early part here of 2022. And some companies are just saying, don't even come in anymore. Lyft Incorporated said its employees won't have to come back to the office for all of 2022. What's going on here? And if it is all work from home, what challenges now await not only these companies from employee interaction and on the job, but also they've got some major real estate bills that they're paying for property they don't need. Let's welcome into the show Spencer O'Leary. We've had Spencer on the show before. He's an expert on managing remote employees and CEO of ActiveOps North America. Spencer, how are you on this glorious Monday?
I'm good, thanks, Ken. How are you?
I'm good, and it's good to hear your voice again.
Yeah, you too.
Work from home forever. Embrace work from home forever. Is that something that a lot of businesses could have been doing all along in this computer age, now with Zoom and all these other ways to stay in touch with employees, Slack, the various other platforms? Is that something that could have happened before the pandemic, or is this something that is simply a residual effect of the pandemic?
I think could have happened and was happening before the pandemic. So a number of our customers use our software to help them manage their remote workforce, and they've been doing that for years and years. And it's taught them a lot of things over the past 2 years since the pandemic hit, when they've got 100% of their workforce working from home. They've proved through the data that we collect that productivity had increased over that period, which is a good thing for the employee and the employer. But there's a few key data points that have deteriorated over that period. Things like employee well-being, employee fitness, even creativity and ideas generation. Yeah. They've all suffered and continue to suffer when we've got a workforce that 100% of the time works from home. So that's going to be a key thing for employees to address in 2022.
Well, how you mentioned creativity improved. How did it improve?
No. So creativity did not improve. Creativity got worse. Well-being got worse. The only thing that improved was the amount of output that people could create in the time that they spent creating it.
Okay, misheard you there. Okay, creativity did not improve. Well, there seems to be a lot of negatives there to the positive, but yet a lot of companies are looking more and more to have their employees work at home. So if we know all of those things were negatives, how do they outweigh the positives?
So I think what employers need to get right is the balance between allowing people to work from home and the positives that come from that, both for the company and for the individual, but making sure they embrace that that new hybrid working model where they are bringing their employees together. They're redefining and redesigning that real estate so that it's a space where people want to come and spend time together, to have meetings, to collaborate, to generate ideas, hopefully to address some of those well-being issues when people are isolated working from home. If they get the balance right, they will maintain productivity by people working remotely, but they'll also increase and hopefully maintain those well-being standards that are important and bring back that creativity.
You know what the fear was with all of this is that you work from home, pretty easy to goof off. You're not necessarily time on task. I mean, you can goof off in an office environment, but when you're at home and you have personal distractions all around you, whether it's pets or children, maybe the productivity would not be all that great. You're saying productivity was great, but there were other minuses that went along with it. So, I mean, how do you prevent the goof off factor at home?
Yeah, and it's not easy, is it, Ken? I mean, it was not easy, as you say, when people were doing it in the office. But one of the things that a lot of our customers have given us feedback on over the past, 22 months now, is that enabling an employee to work from home was not that hard. Processes these days tend to be electronic, work is electronic, and as long as I've got the right equipment and a decent internet connection, actually working from home, it was different, but it wasn't that difficult. Yeah. What was really difficult was managing from home. Managing a team of people who I used to sit in front of. I had maybe 15 people in my team, or I could have a really large team with thousands of people in it. But generally I could see and hear them, and I could interact with them face to face. And doing that particular task, managing people who are working from home, when I can't see them, I don't speak to them very often, that's really difficult. And that's what we've been helping our customers with. Our software platform enables managers to manage remotely, and manage remotely as well as they did when they could sit at a desk in front of their 15 people. Yeah. So I think that's a key deliverable for people this year, is get that remote management component of remote work right.
Sure, because there have to be a whole different set of skills you have to tap into if you're a manager. It's not something that you know, if you're in an office environment and you want to talk to an employee about something, good, bad, or indifferent, you bring them into an office or to an isolated area, you have a conversation, it might take 20 seconds, they go back to work. I suppose from a technological standpoint with Zoom you could do that, but face-to-face contact was so important. Now when you have management that are tapping into these new skills, what do they have to do? In other words, if we've got somebody listening right now that's working from home and it's a new environment for them, what do they need to get from their manager? And I'll flip that around. What does a manager need to get them that's different than what would have taken place inside an office environment where everybody could look at each other and not just hear words, but see nuances, facial expressions, and things like that?
So I think some of the key things, Ken, is what we're teaching managers out there in the workplace today about how to manage remotely. So 3 key tips for anybody listening today to make sure that they manage as well as they can remotely. The first is to make time for individuals. So have that regular, either daily or bi-daily, maybe even only once a week, but have that regular one-to-one catch-up, 15 minutes. You're probably going to have to do it over Teams or Zoom, but make sure that you schedule that time in the calendar. Second, make sure you make some time and take some time to make that a good experience. You need a good internet connection. You need a lack of distraction behind you. A lot of the time on Teams, you see children or pets running around in the background. Yeah. Just try and make the time to find a quiet place and have that one-to-one quiet interaction. Yeah. And thirdly is think about what's even harder in 22 than 21. In 21, everyone was remote. That had its challenges, but now you've got an environment where you've some people in the office and some people working from home. You're meeting with some face-to-face while having other people dial in on Teams or Zoom. That's even harder as we go into next year. So when you've got that experience, try and make it inclusive for everybody. Don't make it a better incentive for people who are at home or those in the office. You need to have a collaboration mechanism where everyone's involved. So make the time for one-to-one, make it a good experience, and make sure you have those hybrid interactions in office and in home, and work really hard to make that a good, inclusive experience for everybody.
Sure, because by definition, if you're working away from the office environment and there are people in the office environment, there will be a disconnect. So you're going to have to be, I would think, if you're a manager, even more sensitive to the folks that are working at home so they feel like part of a team. And I don't know how easy that will be because, as you know, you get into an office environment and you're managing, say, 10 people, you have 10 different personalities and 10 different needs for motivation. So I really think this is if indeed this is the way we're going with business now, I really think there's going to have to be some real intensive retraining for the people that run these companies, right?
No, absolutely. And we're seeing some really good innovation out there on both getting people together and having that good experience. So I've seen some companies who are doing hot food Wednesdays. And on a Wednesday, they bring hot food into the office. They try and get their teams together. They're not talking about too much work. They're talking about social things. They're trying to get that personal face-to-face interaction going. I've seen other managers who send each one of their team a $5 Starbucks card once every month, and that's how they they order themselves a coffee at home and they have that one-to-one interaction, just to try and get something that's a little more personal than that impersonal contact that you often get over the internet.
Yeah, because, look, by the way, we're chatting with Spencer O'Leary. We're talking about is it time to embrace work from home forever. Spencer is an expert on managing remote employees. Look, last I checked, there were like more than 11 million unfilled jobs in this country. Some people just don't want to work. Some people are taking early retirement. If you don't manage differently in this day and age, that number of people that aren't working and the number of jobs that are unfilled is simply going to go up. That's got to be a concern, though, would you not think, for employers? It seems like it's difficult now to find employees to fill some of these jobs, whether they're working from home or not, right?
Absolutely, and I think the power is now with the employee. The number of job adverts that I see out on the open market where sort of, if you like, the number one offer from the organization is the ability to work at home or the ability to work remotely. Employers are now using this as a lever to attract and retain good talent. And for those employers who either don't want to or don't feel they can embrace at least a hybrid working model where people get to work from home most of the time, employees are just going to vote with their feet. It's never been easier to change jobs as it is today. You sit at home in the same office, in the same chair, and somebody will just ship you another computer. You ship the old one back, and next Monday you're working for somebody else. Yeah. So powers with the employees. Employers need to find their way of embracing at least a hybrid working model and enabling their employees to have good well-being, good creativity, and deliver productivity working from home.
Little off topic, but I think a major story for businesses going forward and for real estate owners going forward are the lack of need for some of these high rises and office complexes. If indeed we're moving to that kind of a business paradigm, some of these high rises are going to become white elephants, dinosaurs. Could you see that as we go forward, that, the office space area, the high rises, there'll be a thing that people will look at and say, that's so 20th century. What do you think?
I think so. And I think people will redesign their office space to be much more collaborative. So much more a hot desking, open desking, meeting space to come and meet, collaborate, drive creativity, all those things we've just been talking about. But what you don't need, if you employ 1,000 people, is you don't need a downtown office that's got 1,000 booths in it, because that's just not the way that people are going to work going forwards. So I think that's what we're going to start to see through 2022, is organizations redesigning themselves to enable them to attract and retain that good talent by operating in these hybrid models. That's going to have a knock-on effect to real estate and what's needed, and then has a knock-on effect to all of those smaller businesses that used to operate around high-value, high-volume commercial real estate, the coffee shops and the bars and the sandwich and salad shops. This has a real consequence, I think, to the way that business life operates in the U.S.
Yeah. Absolutely fascinating. Spencer O'Leary, CEO ActiveOps North America company, is leading the way in management processing and automation. And you guys develop software to help everybody through this operation. How do people get a hold of you, Spencer? We might have a couple of CEOs in the audience today. How do they get a hold of you?
You can come and talk to us, Ken. You can find us at ActiveOps.com. You can see how our software is really enabling North American businesses to effectively manage their remote workforce. It isn't impossible to do. Yes, it's challenging, but we can help you through that. So come and find us at ActiveOps.com, and we'll help you in this new world.
Thank you, Spencer. Stay well. We need to hear your voice. We need to hear. That's an Irish accent, is it not?
It is. O'Leary's an Irish name. My family is from Southern Ireland, myself from the UK, and I came over to Dallas, where I'm based now in the US, a couple of years ago. So you won't sense my Texan twang, but you'll still hear my English and Irish roots.
Stay well. We'll talk down the road. Thank you.
And you take care, Ken. Bye.